and I don't know, maybe it's just been the games I've been casting of late, but the mid solos I got to cast playing these invokers have just been beautiful.
Yeah, you feel like you're kind of repeating yourself all the time. You're like, oh, we're gonna see a X invoker, and it's like that. Oh, X is perfect on the invoker, you know, every single time. But we do have a lot of
algebra Dota.
We do have a lot.
Well, you
have
have X on invoker. We got Y on clockwork, and coming in with a Z is the Timbersaw.
Clockwork and Timbersaw on the same team.
See, unique drafts, man.
And we have had a lot of that, and we are having something pretty interesting already. Disruptor being picked up very, very early by Alliance. He definitely has been rising quite a bit, but first pick potential?
Yeah, that for me would add a very, very large question mark. Not to the fact like Alliance could have a hidden draft, because like, okay, this has been happening more and more recently, and it's been getting more and more frustrating because I look at the draft and go, well, okay, how much can we decode of what Alliance wants to achieve with this? And the answer is nothing. Most of the time, it's just a standard pick. It's just done in a very unusual order to make you think that something like awry is happening, but really, this is probably just going to be a basic support disruptor. We got the clockwork in the mix-up as well. We're not seeing any major combinations here, apart from a high level of control. And maybe that's all Alliance is searching for. The ability to control Team Empire, be it through Glimpse, the kinetic field and wall, or through hookshot into cogs.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the only core function they're searching for with those two heroes.
Yeah, I mean, Disruptor is just a strong hero in general. He's even better if you're going up against heroes that don't really naturally go into a BKB. So Invoker is definitely one of those. He's a hero who doesn't tend towards BKB whatsoever. So he is going to be a strong counter as a support. That doesn't necessarily mean that's why you pick him up by any means. But I think it is just sort of a natural progression of him rising higher and higher through the tiers of supports and now being seen as in that first pick realm. So and it's not the first time I've seen it. When teams do have second pick, I've seen at least two I can put in my mind where Disruptor has been picked up as the 1-2.
Yeah. And with the Batrider, I think our theory is getting cemented even further. You're talking about a BKB hero, like not being Invoker, so Disruptor can control him and go nuts. But Batrider, even if they do go for a very hard style carry as the last one here for Silent, then Batrider will be on the job. It's got a double jump in initiation through Clockwork as well as through Batrider, and that's the big thing. It almost feels like Alliance has approached this saying, okay, well, Team Empire is killing everybody on lanes these days. We're not really finding any advantage over them, really. So how do we do it? We just have the best and most comfortable team fight that we can get. You have an S4 Clockwork, which is kind of going to be what this is, I believe, an Admiral Bulldog Batrider, and then Disruptor Supporter. The only thing we're missing right now is almost like having a Faceless Void all on top of this and just saying, more control. It doesn't synergize properly with the Clockwork. All I'm saying is an element like the Chrono.
This does not feel like a normal Alliance draft because I was actually looking at it going Batrider mid, Clockwork offlane, but then you said S4 Batrider and at Bulldog Batrider. That makes some more sense when you look at the players. Personally, when I would look at that draft, I would say, okay, I would rather have Clockwork be my offlane hero rather than Batrider. But I think you're right. I think it is going to be a Clockwork mid. But this is interesting drafting coming out from Alliance because we have two different what is traditionally offlaners, but also the fact that it's also not really standard Alliance drafts so far at all. So I'm interested to see where they're taking this new direction. Empire, though, standard, just picking up Lifestealer. He's just a strong mid-game carry as it stands right now. Even with the Batrider being picked up as well as the Disruptor, both of which are decent counters to a Lifestealer, he still feels, you know what, that's fine. In fact, Clockwork too, I'm actually kind of questioning this now.
Yeah,
I mean, Lifestealer's always strong, but really?
Yeah, I was actually wondering about this too for the offlane for Alliance now, with the whole Clockwork Batrider, because it doubles up on rolls a little bit. Because instantly my mind just thinks of Admiral Bulldog as a Clockwork, but it could be S4 in the middle lane. But the main thing I'm thinking of is Batrider can't escape from the bottom lane. With both Grave Chill as well as Open Wounds, no matter, unless he's sitting right on the edge of a cliff, he's going nowhere.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It kind of actually has to be a Clockwork on the offlane because of this. Which means then Batrider does take up the mid-roll, and then we get SK and Disruptor. Two heroes whose synergy is not amazing to start with. Most of the SKs we've been looking at has a setup from their lane hero or from the secondary support. Like, if you're going to play a Disruptor, then you've got to have a slow or a stun that's going to help SK get himself into the mix. Like we saw already with the Wraith King being played a lot already today, but he's got this bolt that just flies out there, so you get the stun from him, then the follow-up from SK, and then you have the follow-up from the second support. So you basically get like 3 stuns all piled on top of each other. That's been the way of the SK, and SK's been this thing where, like, once you get those kills, you rotate jungle, you farm up a double or triple stack, you get your first Blink Dagger up and running, and then you become the primary initiator. That's also going to be rather difficult when you're going up against the potential Rage Lifestealer, and you got a potential phase shift silencing Puck with Dream Coil, and you got an Invoker who is already, like, he's the master of magic, man. Like, you don't battle against the master of magic without some kind of, like, magic education. And SK, he's just like he's a king of the sand.
Yeah, and looking at this team, Empire, they see this, they see Alliance's draft. None of it's very, very open, right? We could see just the carry is going to determine whether this is going to be a mid-game aggressive lineup because they do have a lot of good mid-game and they have tons and tons of initiation. So they combo well off of that with any sort of mid-game aggressive damage dealer. But at the same time, they could also be playing this defensively with their initiation, look for pickoffs and look for a lot of counter ganking and go for a hard carry. But what Team Empire here, they see this very, very greedy supports coming up. Disruptor and Sand King are both very greedy supports. Disruptor is not the greatest support in the laning phase, but provides a lot in the mid game. And Sand King is very, very, unless you have a good setup hero like a Rubik, he's not a very reliable support because Burrow Strike being such short range. So seeing that, I think Empire going aggressive, like Visage and the Lifestealer. We've seen the offlane Puck before, but here I think you go at an aggressive tri-lane and ensure yourself that both Invoker and Puck will have a good time. Pick up a lot of early farm, and it could see their aggressive tri-lane could easily go well with Lifestealer facing up against a Disruptor. That's pretty easy. Whoa, man, this is full-on mid-game aggression.
Hang on. Who are our callers in this?
The Wind Ranger,
Is support
Clockwork, and Batrider. I believe this is.
This is Alliance though. They normally run Wind Ranger as either a support or a mid solo. So if you're running Wind Ranger as a mid solo, then either your Batrider or Clockwork have to go into a support.
I thought I'd seen Loda run Wind Ranger once as a carry.
10 seconds remaining.
It doesn't come to my mind straight away. I know there have been some
about
teams.
a different team. Yeah,
there've been some other teams that have done that, but I not coming to mind Loda doing that.
Reserve time.
But hey, maybe you are right, dude. Either way, we're going to find out in a couple of moments' time. The last pickup's going to come from Team Empire. This is just a support hero now. I'm kind of with you on the Rubik pickup, but I think Team Empire can almost get a little bit greedier with this. Like, you know you're not going up against any major cores here, so they've already taken out the Chen themselves, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but no, they're going to go fighting. They're going to go Rubik. So it will be Venscore's signature hero. I thought for a moment they could just try a jungler. Like, I'm not going to say Enigma or something like that, but you could have gone in for something like an Enchantress. Yeah,
with the Wind Ranger pickup, they could think about and go, okay, maybe we don't go an aggressive tri-lane because it's two greedy supports, but Wind Ranger as a carry position has a lot of lane presence. Right, it's not just a hero that sits back and doesn't do a whole lot. There's going to be a lot of lane presence out of that Wind Ranger, especially range core versus melee core. So maybe you think about, okay, there's no need to get greedy here and try and shut them down in the laning phase if they have no late game whatsoever. And we've got an Invoker and a Lifestealer comboed with Visage and Puck who are decent. In which case, you League fans should be ashamed of yourselves.
30 seconds to battle.
No,
right, okay.
No. Game time. Focus.
Yeah.
What we're here for. Loda will be our safe lane Wind Ranger. EGM supporting him. It's a dual lane on top. It's 100% confirmed. This time Vanscore does bring wards though. So he'll be up here with Mag as the Puck. And that puts Resolution in towards the middle lane as the Invoker. And that puts Silent and Always Want to Fly together on the bottom lane. That's enough of a combination to fight up against a Batrider. Unfortunately for them, they won't get that. They'll have Arcade down here. And they're going to see each other and go, well, okay, I guess this lane wasn't exactly as what we expected. And
we got him. That's 110 mana down the drain.
It's fine. He brought 2 clarities to jungle with later on, so it's okay.
If it
was any other hero, we would be in trouble right now. Apart from maybe Batrider. Okay, if it was any other hero but Batrider and Clockwork, we'd be in trouble.
So I do like the way that Alliance are doing this. That they got the ward out very, very early on the side for Admiral Bulldog, and now he's just doing that typical like cogs block, which is going to be able to give him some experience and get him to like level 2, level 3, which is a good start. The biggest problem is that Mag is actually able to do pretty decent against this. Like, Puck is not a very strong offlaner, right? He has an escape mechanism, but he's really, really squishy. However, you look at the supports, they have no control over that Puck whatsoever. So they can harass him, sure, but Matt can still come forward, trade last hits in exchange for experience, and we'll be able to actually pick up a decent amount of levels off of this.
You can actually see he came there to trade even more last hits. He's come up with like a shared tango, full set of tangos, and a healing salve on top of all of that. So with all that, he's expecting Thunderstrike to be...
Yeah, spammed out constantly,
Yeah, but Arcade never leveled it. He hasn't leveled anything up just yet. He's just watching Mag on the top lane, throwing a couple of basic hits. There's no phase shift, so he's got to take it out. But I think he's trying to decide whether or not there will be enough control with Burrow Strike as well as what I'm waiting to be Shackle. Actually, I just realized too, we got Wind Run in the first ability here from Loader as opposed to just having Shackle and Power Shot. Was he worried about that top lane?
Something I think that Ake is actually trying to consider as his level 1 is actually Glimpse early on. If you can run at the Puck, force him to try and orb backwards, and then you throw Glimpse at the last second of him trying to get to his orb, the Glimpse timer, it isn't immediate, right?
Yeah.
It actually sends back a little bit of time, so if Puck jumps away before the Glimpse marker actually lands where it's supposed to be, then he'll go to his orb, but immediately right back.
Yeah.
Just an idea, just an idea. It's highly unlikely you'll actually be able to succeed, and I normally would just go Thunderstrike against him.
It's just nice knowing if you have the option or not. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think he realizes if he burns through Thunderstrike right now, then he just sits there with no mana and he's not really achieving anything. Because Puck's got so much regeneration anyway that it's just he doesn't have mana. So a kill is more important than just burning through a couple of health consumables on a Puck. And they're looking towards middle lane now. RK still not level 2 just yet, so he's still only got one choice of ability. But S4 still having a good time here in the middle lane. 14-3 up against that Invoker who's 10-5. So Resolution normally, like, he can play very passive at the very start. Like, this guy's even walking around with 4 spirits to try and focus fire down for last hits in this mid lane. So how much he's just getting a little bit frustrated by the Bat Rider. But at the same time, he's also running a full magic wand. Like, it's not even a stick. That's a proper wand on the back of the Invoker. Who needs a... that Ake?
Even though I'm not entirely sure what Ake was really going to do. Like, question mark, what does the Disruptor do at level 1?
He's moral support. He's sitting there up on the high ground with pom-poms.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you get like 5 sticky napalm charges and actually successfully get kinetic fields around Resolution, that might be a good combo. But it's again another situation highly unlikely that they're going to be able to do anything with that. However, once we have double Force Spirits up for Invoker, this lane's going to become a lot easier for him.
It's a nice regeneration rune up on top lane, but it's taken by the full health and life points, full health and mana Puck. Is Silent going to be going into... Yeah, he is. Unless he's going to pick up phase boost in a couple of moments' time, we're looking at a hand of Midas over on Silent. With a Quelling Blade as well as basic boost to start with, that's all he really needs in order to get up close and personal with Admiral Bulldog, who's being another bit of a twit as he's blocking up the wave again. So this will pull a lot. This will pull up a big army towards the top. He almost should release it right now. Yeah, there he goes. So there's no damage dealt towards the tower. But his wave will get nuked down. He's still holding back because there's also a Rubik rotating down towards this bottom lane. But I think he's just out of range for XP. But Rubik went straight past him without noticing.
Yeah, that was really smart play by Bulldog. Just like you, whenever the lane pushes, you normally see like smoke up from supports and they try and go around the tower. Same exact concept with if Clockwork's going to force the wave back into his tower like this, you're probably going to have some supports trying to catch him out and punish him for that play. And so Bulldog just plays the off lane as safe as humanly possible. Another thing, earlier, in fact, he's still doing it. Sand King is currently playing the Song of His People. they were actually sharing the experience between him and Disruptor early on, which I think is actually a pretty good idea. Both of these supports are really level dependent.
But that's the beautiful thing about someone like an SK now, because the changes to Sandstorm is jungle
look at
viability is so much more. There's your glimpse back, and this means they can go into a last hit. Resolution thought he'd be in a safe position. He's dragging him further away from Arcade.
Forge
so then
Spirit.
the orb, Forge Spirit, we
got
put
it.
the first blood. Ah, it's Arcade.
Oh.
Oh no, it's Evoker. Damn it! See, now that's not fair, peoples. That's not fair. So when Batrider claims the first blood, it goes away with S4. He'll die pretty shortly after. He's getting body
great
blocked.
move by
EGM is on the
Mag.
way. There's a telekinesis coming back in again, but now, well, the attack goes up the hill with a soul assumption, but S4, he's still bottling up, and the one charge has helped him stay alive. And Sand King blocks the path. Power shot, Shackle! Loader comes in, and he's going for Mag. He needs one more proper hit on Mag, but with a wind run, he keeps up, and then breaks the healing salve, and gets the kill. 2-1 goes his way. I always want to fly. He was diving in so deep to get the kill over on S4. With Graves, he'll be able to run away a certain distance. Is there a level 2 glimpse? Yes, there is. And look at the range. There she is. Drag her back. He doesn't have any follow-up damage, though.
Yes.
So we just go Graves Chill again. In the meantime, Hedemize is finished on bottom lane.
But now you see, like, the power of Disruptor, once he gets to level 3 and has that level 2 glimpse, it's actually a viable ability for ganking. So them sharing experience with the Sand King earlier might slow down Sand King's farm a little bit, but it gets Disruptor so much more control over this map. So I think that was a really great idea by Alliance.
Ruby's coming up to be a bit of a nuisance. He's realizing SK's using Sandstorm just to farm up, so he's leeching the experience. Because EGM's only other choice is to walk out of the Sandstorm and then attack on Vanskor, who just throws him straight back into the mix. But they're wanting to push Vanskor as well as Mag out of here. And they've got to finish that camp. Sandstorm's off cooldown in 2 seconds time. And look, Mag's coming back in. How much of this is he going to take? Oh my! That's just...
Mag just fell into a windfall there. He was just like, I'm going to throw out this orb, and all of a sudden, all of the gold just comes raking in.
He passed go and collected $400.
Exactly. No, actually, that was more of like him going to Chance and winning the beauty pageant or something.
Monopoly. We need a Dota version of Monopoly.
We do.
Yeah.
I mean, you do know my avatar, right?
Yeah, I do know your avatar.
Yeah. Oh,
You know what?
Monopoly.
We'll make a custom game inside of Dota, which is Monopoly. Monopoly Dota. Yes! It shall happen! Ideas. And then we pay copyright to them for the rest of our lives. What a shame. What a shame. Oh, there's your face boots on Line Stealer now. Considering you finished up the Hand of Midas before, that was it was a good timing, Hand of Midas, and now someone's really going to start to move into a powerful position as this Life Stealer. And I don't really understand what this Wind Range is meant to be doing as far as, like, countering the massive DPS. Like, it's almost got to be a Desolator Wind Ranger, but we're starting with Face Boots and 4-Stuff for the Wind Ranger. I think it's also, because the changes to Focus Fire, I think this is the first time in a very long time I saw any Wind Ranger level up Focus Fire at level 6.
Yeah, Focus Fire a lot more viable as a Wind Ranger for cores. So, meaning this carry Wind Ranger has some opportunities to actually output a lot of damage fairly early on. That's good, but it still doesn't make you a viable late game support. You're still more utility oriented than you are damage based. So, just means that Alliance are going to be getting very, very aggressive. However, with the supports that they have, you see some of these lineups sometimes where it's basically kind of like a no-core lineup. They're meant to win pretty much pre-35 minutes. However, Alliance didn't actually set themselves up with a whole lot of early laning phase. Normally, these matchups win their lanes and then turn snowball from there. Here, Alliance have cut themselves a very, very small amount of time where they're actually, their supports are strongest. Yep. Their supports are strongest when they have their basic items, which is Blink Dagger.
Blink Dagger on a puck? Yeah. And the timing for them to nail him down is right now, because Mag moves up towards top lane, and he's looking for the farm to find his own Blink Dagger. If he didn't get that burst of gold, maybe he would have gone for like an item which is like a temp stop. Like, I'll have like a bracer or something to get me through the hard times of
yeah,
of
some
laning.
pucks go treads for more lane
treads, sorry.
control. Yeah.
I thought strength and went the other one. Yeah. But he needs something along those lines if he's going to get there now, because with this Blink Dagger, there's no way to come in close on Loader. So Loader basically gets free farm up here on the top lane, and he's 100 gold away from finishing his 4-staff. I wouldn't even be surprised if Loader goes roaming after he finishes that 4-staff, try and move down towards the bottom lane, find a couple of kills, and leave RK to find the levels up in the top lane. Because SK's found his out of the jungle, RK needs his as well, and if they don't get down there shortly, all these camps, Silent basically went in here, popped the infest, just to do as much damage to the camp as possible, and then just starts farming and farming and farming. And this bursts in his drums. So you're running a hand of Myers, and you're giving him what was a triple stack of creeps. It's just a huge injection of money, which Alliance need to quell.
Something I do want to talk about, the Force Staff. We don't actually talk about this interaction for Wind Ranger that often, because most of the time it's just Wind Ranger support or Wind Ranger offlane, and you're like, yeah, Force Staff is always good, but Force Staff is exceptionally strong on Wind Ranger as a carry position because your focus fire, it just allows you to constantly get those pot shots off. It's very much in the same spirit of a Blink Dagger on Clinks, where you pop strafe, your biggest problem is actually being able to stay in range of those heroes. Well, you focus fire down an enemy, and then you just Force Staff, and you keep up with them, constantly laying down that damage. So this makes Force Staff a really strong item, and not just a good item in general versus Lifestealer, which is another big thing to talk about.
Alliance are looking for a quick and easy kill up on top lane. They've actually rotated Clockwork towards this top lane, so S4 was dealing with bottom as well as mid. So there's only two things that will happen right now. Either Empire TP somebody in and he gets completely caught out, or they let the tier 1 tower go. That's like the only real options here. Focus Fire is already being used to bring down this tier 1 tower. Fortification won't be used. They let the tower go. There's no need to fight. They've got Familiars already up here and always on a fly. This is a level 6 Visage. And not a bad timing. It's amazing. It's not a bad timing. So these two supports just by themselves can push out the lane, but they've got, with a Familiar support, so much cover fire. And now they've moved towards the bottom with the Blink Dagger SK. So they couldn't find a kill up on top lane, so now they're going to try and get one on bottom.
Yeah, and they got to get really, really aggressive. They really have to, because their timing is now kind of like that. 12 to 25 minutes, they need to have a serious lead so they can start getting Wind Ranger carry a lot of items. You're going to need a gold advantage. Despite the fact that Wind Ranger is very, very good up against Lifestealer in general, as a carry, you're even better because Lifestealer can't target you at all.
Yep.
But Lifestealer is probably a more efficient carry at being able to take out and go for a lot of the other heroes up in Alliance.
Alliance have had enough of this. They're 3-man smoking it up. At least SK now has the movement speed to keep up with everybody else, considering, as Nahaz was pointing out, there's no boots on this SK. He just went straight into the Blink Dagger instead, but now he gets the boots. But they look for a hero and always want to fly as the one. He's the one which is out the furthest, and EGM can easily go in. So Blink, Burrow into a Cogs, Battery Assault, Shackle, trying to latch, and the Familiar drop down almost bought him the space needed. But there's just too many heroes down here for Alliance for them to fight. There is a small problem for Admiral Bulldog. He's only got enough now for a hook shot.
And they forced rotations, so this is exactly what Alliance wants. They don't want Empire to try and dodge.
Let's get the second Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
They're going to come in and fight this so hard. And Mag, oh, he's just short. Silence is up on S4. Now the Dream Call as well. But RK is also here, ready to fight. Power shots through, but Mag locked in with Silent as well as the Familiars. Forced off him up away from the dropping Familiars. There was a pick up with the telekinesis, and now in comes the epicenter from EGM. But he's getting stunned up half the way through. Resolution was perfect on the Cold Snap. And the Force Spirit's focus meant he basically couldn't walk forward. And the rest of Alliance backed themselves up. This fight in the bottom lane went horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah, it did. This is why oftentimes these kind of drafts are very, very risky, because they didn't win the early game, right? I mean, you take a look at the gold graph, it's actually in favor, experience, and gold in the favor of Empire. How are you supposed to have a stronger mid game when you actually came away from the laning phase worse than the other team? Like, draft alone, like just looking at the picks of Alliance, aren't necessarily going to win you the mid game when you've got a very farmed up Invoker and a farmed up Lifestealer already.
Yeah, because you got nowhere to really dodge any of this kind of stuff. Like, what are you going to be doing? Walking around with a BKB so don't get cold snapped all the time, or burnt out? There is only one BKB here, or maybe two if you're going to include the Clockwork. But Batrider's the only other one which would normally do it. But that's only after getting Blink Dagger Force off, and then he'll go into it. So yeah, it's a very questionable draft coming out from Alliance, and not just the draft, just the transition of the draft.
We are going to see the times I have seen Wind Ranger in the one position, Alliance is just kind of crushed, and they've ended the game early. I think this game you're going to see how just exactly how quickly the Wind Ranger falls off going into the late game, because as it stands right now, Empire very much in control of this game, and it's going to push late, whether Alliance want it to or not.
Yeah, there's just no other option right now. These familiars are just dropping and slowing down Alliance's push as well. All they want to do is just get a tier 1 for a tier 1 trade, but they've lost their creep wave on the bottom lane. Loader is still farming up on this top lane, but he's walking around with 1,700 gold now. And my question for you is, where's he go from here? Do we look for the Orchid? Does he try and rush up a Scythe of Vice? Does he have time to rush a Scythe of Vice up against this lineup? Because it looks like with Mag and Resolution, they back up, they smoke up, they're looking for kills. And they're probably looking for Loader more than anybody else. Shut down the Wind Ranger, which means there's no DPS.
I think in a carry Wind Ranger, you go and you try and go for things that proc off your ultimate. So look for Maelstrom, possibly MKB going into the later game. But those are your big items that are actually going to be able to give you a lot of damage. I like the idea of Desolator, honestly, because Lifestealer is such a low armor hero. However, I think you're going to have more damage output with a Maelstrom.
Mm-hmm. Well, they haven't found their opening yet. And Loader, or maybe he can buy out that Maelstrom you're talking about before he ends up dying, because they're just grouping up around the tower. At the same time, Alliance doing the same thing. This is really what their draft was trying to show. I don't think they're even worrying about how they'll transition into the later portion of the game. This draft just kind of goes and says, we want to fight, we want to kill, and that's all. Like, there is no more to read into this apart from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that the Wind Ranger going late is actually more viable than people give it credit for. I mean, it's only
but the focus fire, man.
It's only a 30% reduction in damage.
Look at it go. She's like the new version of... She's exactly like that person now, the Dota 2 reporter. Like,
bottom.
Oh, that's where he was.
Yeah,
that's like, where's the Batrider? I'm looking at the bottom of the map, and he should be here. The mini-map doesn't show him when he's out that far.
When he's off the map, he no longer shows up on the mini-map. Yeah, that's rather
top lane,
but
Blink, got to look for the Burrow Strike right now. The Familiars will still make some space, but with RK here as well, always want to fly, knows he can't run from this, so he's got to try and stand and fight. Glimpse will drag him back underneath his own Familiars, and if they need to, he'll throw out the Static Storm, because RK's got no other choice. They can't Burrow Strike out yet, and they've got to get rid of these Familiars before they kill off the supports. That's why Loader is here. He runs himself around. He also now does have his Maelstrom. He just picked up the gloves as well as the recipe.
And they're getting extra gold. So nice. Familiars are going to go down. Pigs found on both sides, but this just means that Empire are getting more and more farm. We have a 4-staff into
Necrobook.
Are you sure?
I'm looking at Invoker right now. Yeah, it's four stuff into Necrobook.
Yeah, you're right.
The null talisman was just a casual kind of thing.
Okay. The reason I thought about Yules is the fact that you have both Clockwork and Disruptor who are able to jump in on an Invoker and have really good abilities that lock him down, right? So if he has a Yules, he can get himself out of that Static Storm, not needing a BKB. He could just delay himself out. And same goes with the Clockwork Hogs. Both Yules would be helpful, but it's not necessarily the ideal item for a Exort Invoker.
Yeah, he needs to have a little bit more damage and control during the fights, and more importantly, they need to have a way to push up into the high ground. And they want to do this earlier rather than later. S4 jump on toast. Like, there's support nearby, but there's no point EGM going in for that one. A little bit too far out. There's no tier 1 towers to TP into as well. They just had to let him go. Yeah, but Resolution's looking to the future. He's looking to, how do we win this game? We've got to go high ground. Rubik's not really going to do that for us. Visage can at least do split pushing for us. Puck is a jump in initiator, but he's not a tower pusher at all. So they need to have that extra grunt to get them over the hill.
Dire's middle
And the only
tower
other
is
option
under
is just
attack.
basically to
Necronomicon
Necros.
is also going to be really strong against some of this AoE. You can't control the Maelstrom damage, you can't control the fire, and you can't control your epicenter on Sand King. Top though, always want to fly. You just get bursted down. Once you lose that cloak, oh man, I never thought about this, but Focus Fire, really good direct counter to Visage's Gravekeeper's cloak. All of a sudden, all of that armor is gone.
Mag, Sunstrike! Got him!
Well played.
That's a almost a max. He's 2 points away from having a maxed out Sunstrike. But grabbing the SK on the way out, Mag did all the hard work for that one. Did all the hard work for it. You're right, it is something you don't really think about. This is something too which Alliance like to play around with. Like, I know I've been trying to convince Loda to bring Dwarven Sniper back for S4 and not for him. So S4 can play a different safe lane solo.
That's really why Loda's being so resistant, is he sees the mid sniper being viable, but maybe not the carry sniper, and he's like, no, if I can't have sniper, nobody will.
Yeah, he'll basically have to move into the middle lane and play that one out. I don't think that'll be a bad thing. It could be worse.
I'm sure Loda's skilled enough to make it work.
Yeah, he's been around the block long enough.
He'll just bring his supports to middle all the time. Help! I'm losing my lane. Help!
See, that's the funny thing. He can't do that unless they're actually like roaming ganking supports, because it destroys the mid solo sniper if you bring too many supports too often.
True.
Bottom lane will now be brought down. Loda, he's helping to get rid of the creep wave, and then the focus fire out. You see Loda's now second item. It's just a void stone. So again, we still sit ourselves here with the puzzlement of, well, not puzzlement, but the question mark of what does he go into next? You've basically got three major options. I'm seeing one, the Yules, two, the Scythe, three, the Lincolns.
So I think Scythe is going to afford you the most amount of damage because Wind Ranger, pretty much the only hero I can think of. Well, no, Invoker is a similar idea actually, but it's going to be able to pick up Scythe of Ice Furion. That's actually the hero I'm thinking of. Where you're picking up Scythe of Ice and it's actually going to allow you to do a lot of physical damage as well. So just a basic Maelstrom gives you a lot of early game. You finish up with the Scythe.
S4's in real trouble right now. The orb's going to come down. He's trying to run the rim, but he can't do it enough. And now in comes the extra help. Mag almost down, able to face you down to 40 life points, healing up. And now SK, well, he just walks in to get rifted. 4 euro is lost for Team Empire. And all of this started when they thought about initiating in on this top lane. Batrider was scouted out by the Familiars. That's what I was watching with the camera. And because he kept getting hit, he couldn't blink initiate in. Resolution also didn't get caught out. He was walking up the river from the top rune and was about to actually walk directly into a blink lasso. And then Alliance would have had the advantage during that fight. But Familiar scouted him out, kept the damage on him, kept that blink dagger on cooldown, ended up becoming a little bit too deep in the mix. And Alliance paid the price for it. 10 for 5 now.
Yep, that means Empire going to be able to control more towers, meaning freeing up more map control. It just means less room for Alliance to use their pickoff lineup, which is, Clockwork, Batrider, even the Sand King and the Disruptor. Those heroes are all very, very good at being able to spread out around the map and find individual pickoffs and shut down and gank Empire a bunch. But when you don't have any map control, when you don't have any tier 1 towers up, it's kind of hard to do that because Empire has so much room to spread out and farm. And you're seeing, just from the gold graph, sure, there's a lot of tower gold in that as well, but the way the experience and the gold is just skyrocketing up is also because of the way that they're able to maximize their farm by staying very, very spread. Taking their jungle, Ancients, the enemy jungle even. So Alliance, they know they need a really, really big advantage, so what better advantage than trying to take Roshan? If you're on the Dire side, go for it. It is going to be a Lincoln's up, by the way, for,
it is going to be a Lincoln's?
for Loda.
All right.
Yeah, he finished off the Perseverance about a minute ago. So, okay. I still don't see your... if this is a utility or support Wind Ranger, absolutely. But this is Wind Ranger as your carry. You need damage output really badly.
Yeah, that's true. But you also need that survivability at the same time, so you got to find a balance between the two. And I have no problem with the Lincoln Sphere. It gives him the regeneration to spam out his abilities, not massively, because he doesn't really cost too much really at the end of the day. But it lets him stand out a long, long way forward, and maybe have that escape mechanism when Loda does what he likes to, which is this split push, which is what he's doing right now, sitting on the bottom lane. pushes out nice and fast with the Maelstrom, and forces a reaction from Empire. As Empire already moving up towards the top, while S4,
Pick off.
middle lane, but they need somebody to jump onto it. It's going to be Resolution. Now, there's no 4-staff with this, and Mag never got out. There's your Epicenter coming in. It's a lot of damage to the puck, and he will go down here. But for the price of the 2 supports, Loader being picked up and tossed around like a toy doll. Clockwork, back in again. But Silent, open wounds up. This may even be, I don't want to say a GG call. When Alliance start throwing themselves like that, you know something is horribly wrong.
That was a really good fight for Alliance, and they still came away from it worse.
Yeah.
So they hit a good epicenter. They like Puck missed his Dream Coil on the Batrider. They were very grouped up for the Static Storm. Like those sort of things all happened, and Empire still shrugged it off and killed enemy heroes. So yeah, they had an early lineup. It's 25 minutes in, and they're losing. There's no way to come back with this kind of lineup. So
yeah. Well, we get to call that one then, and this is, of course, a best of 3. So we have a possible 2 more gamers coming up between Empire and Alliance. So we're going to have ourselves a short break, and be coming back here in just a couple of moments' time. For those guys out there that were looking for confirmation of the code for the D2 for the Dota 2 Lounge giveaways, I did put it over on my Twitter literally 2 minutes ago. So the final code was, in fact, KFQ8. That was the final code. Check out Dota Capitalist on his Twitter. He'll be pumping out his code sometime during the second match, or maybe following the second match. And I'll put the last one over on my Facebook page too, which is TobiWan Dota. Please also tweet me at TobiWan Dota how the audio is going. I know we had some earlier complaints about the audio being a little bit too heavy on the left. Hopefully now that it has been changed and fixed up, I know there was a Reddit post as well saying, hey guys, like my left ear's hurting.